Hello, hello, everyone. It is Sunday, and here in Northeast Minnesota, it is rainy and snowy. There's actually a little tiny bit of snow that's landing and sticking to the grass, and it's really odd. It's not entirely unusual, but even those of us up here in Northeast Minnesota are like, what the heck? We're just done with the snow. We wanted sunshine, and tomorrow is supposed to be about 60 degrees, which is great because we've got a day planned to work on my car. So I invite you to join me to this live stream. Get yourself a cup of tea or watch it with me later. Feel free to engage and ask any questions, make any comments. Feel free, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it later or you're watching this on my YouTube channel, okay? Looks like Fire's head is sticking out of the door. We're going to talk about oppositional defiant disorder. That's what it's called in the Diagnostic Service Manual, which is a DSM. And that is what the mental health industry uses to diagnose, codify, and to treat. And so it's a DSM. There are now 5 DSM. What's up, Brother Scott? Good to see you. Hi there. Oppositional defiant disorder used to be pretty rare, meaning that categorically how it manifests. And so you're going to see that it happens most of the time with males, with boys. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say it that way anymore. Some people might get upset, but it is what it is, and that's how I'm going to say it. And I'm going to explain why in this video. And I'm sure a lot of you know why. You've probably been reading my post for a long time. I'm sitting on a hardwood chair, so I'm kind of getting comfortable. It's happening to younger and younger children. So where it used to be, they were puberty age or, 10, 11, and 12. Now, as I look on some of the Facebook groups, I can see where mothers are speaking about how, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds are going in, being diagnosed, and becoming medicated through pharmacy. You want to have compassion for people because the behaviors that are associated and how far those behaviors can start to get out of control, so to speak, meaning that families don't feel like they can, manage, they feel out of control, are really substantial. So let's be really, first of all, let's be very considerate. I have lived through it as a solo parent, and it is enormous. It will just about break you. You'll be in tears, you'll be frustrated, you'll feel like you absolutely don't even like your child or your foster child or, the child that you're the guardian for. Just watching a really interesting bird that just flew by the window. Lots and lots of signs, okay? So you don't expect to feel comfortable. So when you hear someone mention the diagnosis code, oh, is he ODD? If you don't know, if you're not familiar with it, I don't want to start off just assuming. I could do a very high level workshop right now or video on this. But ODD is oppositional. So the child or the person, oppositional meaning whatever you want to do, it seems like they want to do the opposite. And defiant is like they're going to just dig in their heels and they're going to get, obstinate with you, and they're going to defiantly defy you. Okay. But it gets way more than that. Like there's destruction of your personal property, their property, or the family's property. There's harm to animals. Because really, legitimately what you're dealing with here, because you've got the DSM code, we'll put it over here on this side, and what the mental health and the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry sees as broken machine language, a disorder. It's out of order, okay? Just like needing to have things controlled, like I was talking about. And over on this side over here, because I'm kind of in the middle, over on this side over here is absolutely brain toxicity, some social dynamics with the family, some other things that I'm going to get into. And then, oh my gosh, there it is again. I had a seagull land on my car and I wasn't able to leave as I was parked. And now that huge seagull, looks like the same bird, is sitting out on my front yard, like staring at me on the sidewalk. It's really interesting since I'm a person who's really into signals and signs from nature and the universe. He's actually just sitting there by himself. It's extremely rainy. You know, let me see if I could turn this so you guys can see what's going on here. Let me see, maybe you can. Oh, see him? He just flew off. Okay. I had to sort of break on the, take a break on the ODD just to show you that, because it's really cool, because it was sitting on my car and then jumped down with a loud thud on the top of my hood. After being on the top of my car on the moonroof, I heard this loud thud, and now a huge crow is coming over in the same exact place and looking. Okay, well, that's the world of the shaman, and that's the world of anyone who's paying attention to the symbols and the signs, okay? So as I started to say, kind of in the middle camp is right there again. This is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's one of the largest crows I've ever seen, just strutting around and looking in the window. Okay. In the middle is your doctor. So over here you've got mental health. Over here you've got me saying brain toxicity. And I did say I was kind of in the middle, but more in the middle towards the DSM code and the psychology is genetic. It runs in the family, chromosomal abnormalities. It's never going to get better. We need to do lots of brain scans, which means, as you saw me post last night, contrast may be used most of the time, which increases neural toxicity. And a lot of parents, caregivers, foster parents, institutional systems like the one I worked with, Northwoods Children's Homes, and I was placed, had young males placed with me as not a regular foster parent where you took in a certain level of child, but I worked with therapeutic foster care. So I had to have a lot more training, a lot more certification units and continuing education, Red Cross training, and regular monthly meetings, and lots of social worker meetings for the boys. And then I had such a great relationship that I was able to meet with two local psychiatrists, Dr. Svingen, it's really interesting, Svingen, S-V-I-N-G-E-N, and Dr. Bauer. And I said to them, because I'm very used to advocating, I'm okay with reducing the medication. That's what I want to do in the best interest of the minor children, which is the family law language. So that's what I do with my advocation. So we're going to look at attachment issues, mind-body issues, attachment, right? We're going to look at vaccinosis, over-vaccination, aluminum, mercury, formaldehyde, brain toxicity, right? We're going to look at neuroplasticity. We're going to look at dietary. We're going to look at what the doctors have said from any scans or medical reviews that you've had. And I am the person that you hire to meet with you on the screen, not only to comfort you, to go over a hair tissue test so we can see what's in your child's tissue closest to the brain, that the blood test is never going to give us, not accurately, not that much depth, not 8 pages, where I can see the gut function through the metabolic, identification. It'll either be a slow 1 through 4 or a fast 1 through 4. We expect children, especially under 12, to be in the fast metabolic because they're growing and they're not, in their full adult size. So what else did I write down here? Okay, so I'm going to take someone who asks me to help them as a coach. And I want to hear their story after they complete what's on the right here, the link that I provided you, which is my wellness form. You're going to fill out that wellness form that over 16 years in Minnesota and before that in California, I've expanded it, made it bigger. And so if you don't want to answer something, you can just, not answer that box, or you can just say yes or no. And if you're like, hey, wow, she's going to read this during a time that she's not charging me, so she gets a better sense of what's going on. And maybe it's even a stress reliever that you're typing all this stuff out and you're getting it out there, then I'm going to read that before I'm charging you for any time that we're spending together. It's going to give me a real full picture. so I can work the best for you. The child's age, what you've been through, what kind of scanning you've had, what doctors have said, what kind of medications you're on when you first saw symptoms, what siblings are like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you know. So putting together a composite, starting with the gathering, which is my step one. You did the wellness form. The link is on there for the wellness form. That's free. You type it out, you click submit, it goes to my email. You might decide right away, I've watched the live stream, I've heard about this, people have great success. I want to test tissue, hair, closest to the blood-brain barrier. I told you I was going to say why it's affecting males, boys, adolescents, juveniles, young adult men. Why is it affecting them more? Because as I've learned through looking at the chemistry and the hair tissue patient reports, the profiles of 8 pages like you're going to get when you order yours. And the one link that I have on there is for a 30-minute consult and a hair test for $227. And everything is included in there. So you're going to be able to see directly, and males are going to have less copper and less estrogen. And that is what's protecting the brain of the female more than the male. So the males are getting hit harder. Okay. So it used to be that with homosexuality and different gender movements that we have, it was mostly males that were homosexual, gay males, right? And most of the time, what is going on with ODD and many other brain toxicity issues that are manifesting today, people that are getting more inclined to bestiality and things like that, pedophilia even, right? And this could be argued, and I understand you might say that's a really quantum leap, Karen, and I don't buy that, and that's okay, you don't have to. But sexual derangements, including hypersexuality and bestiality and some of the other manifestations, some of what we're seeing today with aggression and violence, you really only have to look to Flint, Michigan, who just went through a science project in and of itself with heavy amounts of lead in their water. Their youth that's one of the most violent cities in the United States due to that lead. I have tested children, including my own, and there has been slight elevations in the chemical called PB or lead. You can see it. So right to the right of your hair test, I was looking to see if I had one here and I didn't bring one with me. So right to the right, you got the left side, the blue side, which is all the nutritional. So you see the calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, silica, copper, zinc, all of them. Then to the right, you're going to see the toxic elements, antimony, lead, cadmium, mercury, aluminum, all of those. Okay. Now, whether you're any one of those 5 DSM code diagnoses, whether it's bipolar, schizophrenia, psychosis, name some more for me, borderline personality disorder, even narcissism. Okay. And there's also another one called compensatory narcissistic personality disorder, which means that the person had to, because they were called other and they were terrorized and traumatized for so long, that they developed a compensatory narcissistic personality disorder. It was a method of coping for them. Okay. So young adults and now very young children are being diagnosed ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. You might be a mom or a dad or a grandparent at home or a foster parent who's doing regular foster care, like through the regular county agencies, and being a foster parent. You might be a therapeutic foster parent and say, oh my gosh, this child is just against every single thing I want to do. I tell them, you got to get up and go to school, and they don't get up and go to school. They've got headaches, they've got stomach aches all the time, they don't feel good. If I ask them 3 times and finally I'm just like, get the damn thing done. And the child just lashes out and breaks things or kicks things. No, you're not crazy. And I could cry with you and just wrap you up in my arms and say, man, I get it. It is so painful. It's so exhausting. And you say to yourself, I'm just a bad parent, or I'm just a bad foster parent, or I'm just a really super bad grandma. No, you don't get to control the brain toxicity. We didn't know when we were pregnant that we were transferring toxicity to our children. We didn't even know. No obstetrician was teaching you. None of the midwives or the doulas or any of your friends were really teaching you, hey, did you kind of work through all that? And that's why this is going to be in a book that I have imagined and visioned and got put on hold again with having a family addiction. Children that are ODD, they won't make it into school. They can't get up. They don't have energy. They don't have energy because they're being defiant. They really don't have energy because their thyroid isn't functioning on full throttle, right? So since that's not functioning at full steam, on full throttle, they can't give ATP and energy to all their cells. You're starting to see children that are losing their hair, or some of their hair, all of their hair. You're starting to see children like a brethren that I was speaking with who said, my child's not meeting the growth standards. What is going on? He's going to be really short, and I said, I know exactly what's going on, but I'm not trying to milk you and get more coaching appointments. What I'm trying to say is I give and give and give and give. But my time, just like yours, is valuable. When you go to work, you expect to receive a paycheck. That's how you pay your property tax and put gas in your car and feed your family and feed your dogs and do all these things. And it's the same thing with me. So for me to spend one-on-one time with you, just like we're doing right now through the screen, I'm going to read through that wellness form on my own time, my personal time, and come to our session really deeply prepared, bringing my 18 years of legal work so that I'm not overstepping liability bounds and advising you, giving you medical diagnoses or advising you medically or psychologically, but I'm recommending what I would do, what I have done, what my experience is, my 35 years of experience, not 35 years with ODD, but 35 years with reversing disease, preventing, and healing. Okay, so to my knowledge, there really isn't anyone else out there that's doing this right now. I'm gonna see if you guys, hey Ida, good to see you, Jala. Yes, okay. As I look around today, I often will warn some of the friends, because we'll have hundreds, maybe thousands of Facebook friends. We can see the warning signs. We can see where children are getting to be kind of manipulative. And none of us wants to think that about our own child. But, the blurting, the interrupting, the needing to occupy mom all the time is, something you expect in a child, 5 and under. But as they start to get older, we do really need to redirect and guide our children to be able to come into being present and be able to go into play or, stay engaged in something. And that's becoming harder and more difficult to do when our children, are having issues that they are. One of the things you'll know is that your child had a larger, often, not always for ODD, they had a larger head circumference, so if you went to a pediatrician, they gave you the, you're in the 92nd percentile or you're whatever in terms of their growth, but also the head circumference. Also, fluid retention and edema, was that something that was noted? None of us are really told what the PKU stick really does, but it's supposed to be checking for metabolic function. It's not doing a very good job, because especially what I find is, especially with our melanated brothers and sisters, especially with little black boys, dark brown boys and black boys, and my son is mixed ethnically, is that we're seeing more thyroid issues, and I have my own theories why. So when I'm out moving about with people as I do, and except for on days like today, and I have already been out, I usually can, help someone kind of on the spot and say, hey, I kind of see this going on. But We can't do that if we get to a point where only the doctor does these things and not medicine people and medicine women. So that's kind of what I wanted to share today about ODD. So the first thing I would do if I was a mom or a parent and I suspected this, or even if I didn't have a diagnosis and I didn't have super severe behaviors, but I was like, something just doesn't quite feel right, is I would fill out the wellness form on the right on that link, and I would order the hair test, the hair tissue test. You can do scalp hair if you've got a much older child and there happens to be. You can do chest hair. You can do pubic hair. So if you've got dyed or permed hair, you don't want to do that. We can do pubic hair. And if there's hemochromatosis where people can lose their hair, or there's a lot of dyed or permed hair, chemically treated hair, we don't want to use that. We can also use finger or toenail clippings. And in the kit that I mail you, right when you order, it gets mailed out usually the very next morning. There's one white form where you just check any diagnosis, you check the date of birth, you check the shampoo that you used, and any medications that you're on. It's very simple. And there's a cardboard hair scale or nail clipping scale. You set it down and you put the arrow side up, you fold the sides in. So once you start adding almost a teaspoon of hair or the nail clippings, the side with the arrow kind of tips down. Now you just scoot that into collection envelope and write your name on it and put it in the postage paid envelope I give you, and you mail it right back to me. Within about 2 to 3 weeks max, because I do about 400 tests a day at the lab. I'm going to be emailing you because I pay for an email and a hard copy. I pay for both. Out of that, I'm going to email you your results. And if you buy the one on the link here, you get the half-hour consult. So you can use that consult before we get your hair test and really get going and start making a difference. Find out about the foods that are aggravating. Find out what you can do about vaccinosis if you've over-vaccinated or you saw more signs after vaccination. I don't blame all of ODD on vaccinations. I need to look at the items I mentioned, the attachment, the mind-body, what's going on with the multiple generations, what's going on stress-wise in the family, what's going on with the diet, what's going on with some of the parenting, how are we reacting? No one does ODD perfectly. It is really, really tough stuff to do. So anyway, that's ODD. Based on what I'm seeing on Facebook, on some of the sites there, I offered to put this video on so that people could see that in addition to just, drinking contrast solutions and getting lots of scans and doctors talking about the brain, what I've learned about brain lateralization and birth trauma, mind, body, and multiple generations, I guarantee you will far exceed anything that you're going to get anywhere else, because I'm going to put them all together for you in a way that you can hear it, not because anyone's dumb or stupid, but because when you're under a lot of stress, you cannot take in a lot of information. You need someone to help you, get you strong, and stabilize you so that you can keep lifting yourself and your child up and feel better. And that's what I'm all about. Whether it's ODD, autistic spectrum disorder, ADHD, it doesn't matter, okay? It's a little tougher with FASD, which is fetal alcohol spectrum, just because the damage was done in utero, but there's oftentimes many things we can add to make that better. So if you have any questions and you didn't think of them during the session, or you didn't see this session until later, feel free to jot them down below, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Please subscribe to Naturally with Karen on YouTube. And you can also follow me on Quora.com under Karen Pringle. Okay? I hope this has helped a few people out. And if you want to get started right away, you can order on the links immediately and get going soon. Thank you.